I want to talk about parasites because you know so much about parasites. How common are they? And what do people need to be aware of when it comes to parasites?
Parasites are common. Everybody's got parasites. It's part of being human. It's part of being in whatever this thing is. And we have to have a true understanding of how do we contract them? What does it mean to be in mutualism with them? And where does it get to a point where you do need to bring the burden down without the erratic mindset that I have to cleanse my body and detox, which actually takes you out of balance and puts more stress on the system. You can't actually approach a emotional or physical problem through a state of mind of fear. Fear will only perpetuate the problem. And from my understanding through anthroposophical wisdom is that when you're in a fear state, I don't care what biologics you work with, I don't care what the strategy is or modality, you're never or ever going to be able to penetrate where you're trying to get to in that state. And it makes total sense because the fear, fight, flight is really putting your body in a state of survival. Mm-hmm. We don't have a lion chasing us right now, but because of the news cycle, the cell phones, unregulated nervous system, vagus nerve is completely out of whack, microbiome issues, neurotransmitter issues, heavy metals, parasites, and just trauma, like childhood trauma that just hasn't been worked on. You're constantly in that state. And if you're in that state and I tell you that you might have, ringworm and other parasites like toxoplasmosis because you've been harboring cats in your house and you eat sushi once a month, how are you going to handle that situation? You're not. So we got to get our nervous system into a balanced state before we approach something like parasites. That's first and foremost. And then there's a process of getting the lymphatic system going and getting the kidneys going before you do any type of detox plan. Because if you pour on materials and compounds, wormwood or whatever it is, all the different compounds, and you have a clogged piping system, your lymph system is not open and your kidneys are a little bit underperforming, then you're just causing that stuff to recirculate throughout the body. Mm-hmm. And those are the people that get Herxheimer reaction, which is basically a common flu. It feels like you have the flu because you've disturbed the peace, you've created the attack, they're doubling down on antigens and other materials, they're pooping all over your body, and then all of a sudden you don't have the pathways open to bring them out. And most of these parasites, they live behind biofilms. Biofilms are sludge and other materials that they have created a defense system around, whether it's in your liver or in your colon or in fatty tissue or in your brain or wherever it is. And so there's a very methodical way of approaching this. It starts with getting your nervous system regulated. From then, certain compounds, certain detox pathway strategies, maybe some IVs. We created a formula called Para-X, which in my opinion is the most thoughtful and sophisticated formula that's ever been created in the history of mankind.
Wow. And I've heard you describe it a few times. Can you give just a quick, maybe explain a few of the key ingredients in this product because it's really fascinating when I've heard you talk about it.
Well, there's over 36 compounds in there, but it's a little bit different than your standard, we call them weeds and seeds detox plans that are sold on social media that are just basically ground up material in capsules. We did the opposite of that. We used the actual bioactives of those materials through standardized extracts. These are liquid capsules that are made of thyme, clove, monolaurin, oregano oil that have been ozonated.
I love
Who does that?
ozone.
Okay.
That you guys did that.
We're Berserk, So if you don't know what ozone is, ozone's how the atmosphere cleans itself. After a rain, you can smell ozone. It's O3. It's a heavy oxygen molecule, and it basically rips through anything that has a specific polarity. So that's viruses, parasites, bacteria, infections. I do EBO ozone once every 3 months. It's a complete blood dialysis.
I've never done EBO. I want to, but I
haven't done pass or
ozone generator at home, and so I'll do like rectal insufflations with the gas, or I have some ozonated olive oil suppositories. You guys should make those.
Yeah, I mean, You never know. Maybe. I mean, we're tripling down on our liposomal tech right now,
Okay.
so maybe that'll come back around. But I'm a big fan of all that. Anything
Yeah.
ozone, I'm stoked for.
It's great for parasites, right?
Great for parasites, great for candida, great for infections, great for fungus and mold. We have so many cool compounds in there, like luteolin, but there's one of them specifically I want to talk about. Caffeic acid phenethyl ester is one of the main compounds that's in Para X. And, you know, we have bees at our farm, and bee husbandry and understanding how bees work in our world is so full on. Like I invite everyone to go into the mysteries of the bee lectures by Rudolf Steiner to really get a cosmic connection to what pollinators are in our world and how their sensitivities to our frequency is so measured and so received. And what's interesting is, you know what bee propolis is, right? Propolis is built up on the hive and acts as a shield and protector for the hive to not get infected with fungus and mold and other weird insects coming in there. So Mother Nature selected propolis as the protector of the pollinator's home. So if you can grasp what that means on a cosmic level, the intelligence around that and how important that decision is, the main compound in bee propolis is caffeic acid phenethyl ester. And that is antiviral, antimicrobial, anti-parasite, anti-everything in the best way ever as a modulator. And so we have that as one of the 36 compounds that are in the Para X formula. So the Para X is not a search and destroy, kill everything in the body. That's not how that works. It's turning on the potential of the immune system to be able to see everything and removes the cloak on all the things that are bad and foreign in the body. It's really an impressive formula, and I'm just stoked to be part of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I really need to try it. I have been wanting to try it for a while. Is it something that you can take on an ongoing basis? Can anyone take it? What does that look like?
It's set up for adults, just because it's such a radical formula that I don't recommend it to children.
Yeah.
And it's also, you could take it in perpetuity because it's not a cleanse.
Yeah.
It's activating so many things in the body. And so most people are under the gun immune system wise. And so I know people that have been on it for a year and a half straight, and they swear by it and they love it. I take it probably 2-3 months on, and then I take a few weeks off and I get back on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe in cyclical nature of things. Unless it's like magnesium or B vitamins or certain things, most things supplement wise, herbology wise, you need to cycle.
So everyone has parasites. It's not about eradicating them completely. It's about not being overrun by them. And some of the ways that we can strengthen the body to not be completely taken over by parasites is to
lower the burden.
Yes, lower the
You want to
burden.
lower the burden.
So we can regulate our nervous system, take Para X, practice things that help the lymphatic system flow like it should. How do people come into contact with parasites, and how do we even like get them initially?
Well, I mean, there's things like H. pylori and Giardia and, you know, liver flukes and tapeworms and ringworms. I mean, it's full on, like, you know, the different types of microbes that are out there. You could walk barefoot on a farm and pick something up. You never know. It could be in the meat supply. It could be in the water supply. H. pylori is found in tap water, right? Raw fish, you know, your favorite pet. We're always potentially exposed to parasites.
Cats are particularly...
Cats carry toxoplasmosis, you know, and Toxoplasma gondii, when it's in the body and becomes toxoplasmosis, is a very interesting parasite where it burrows, it gets into the central nervous system. That's the cat parasite. I've talked about it before. It triggers, you know, fibrillous behavior. There's a whole thing that when the rat gets the toxoplasmosis, the rat chases the cat to get eaten and go back to the host. So there's like mind control there. The laws of physiology and nature are very tripped out when you look at it from a broad perspective and not from like an allopathic lens. There's purpose behind everything in nature, everything around us right now. There's a perfect harmony of how microbes work. We see that in the mushroom world, in the fungi world. You know, how there's there's an innate intelligence on the communication and the bridges of how all these things are working. The same thing with parasites and microorganisms. Again, my thing is you don't want to be overburdened by it. If you have flukes in your liver, that's not a good thing. And we gotta push that back down.
By lessening our parasitic load, we can take some of that burden off of the immune system so that it's strong enough to fight off whatever it comes into contact with. And when it's suppressed on a continuous basis, that's when you're saying like cancer or maybe autoimmunity, things like that are more likely to occur.
Exactly. Yeah. A dysregulated immune system that's constantly on like low grade inflammation, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, we want to have inflammation. Like if you sprain your ankle, right, your ankle is supposed to get swollen. Why? Because the body's sending blood there that has growth factors, white blood cells, natural killer cells, you know, different things that help promote the healing of the tendons and the ligaments. You know, I don't know why we put ice packs on them. You're not supposed to do that because that constricts it and doesn't allow it to happen. Yeah, I'll get you back in the game tomorrow, but you keep doing that over time, you're going to have damage. It's the same thing with our immune system. We want to have an inflammatory response, but we don't want it to be constantly low grade. Low grade is what brings us towards disease.
What about our thoughts, our mood? How do parasites affect the way we think?
I mean, it creates erratic behavior. You know, just think like a parasite. Why do they call it lunatics, right? Because it's, you know, there's ticks in the body and it's on the full moon.
Yeah.
There is evidence, like this doesn't have to get super airy-fairy, but there's a cosmic connection to our sun and moon. The moonlight has a frequency to it. Why does it change the tides? Why does it activate certain people? Why do a lot of women menstruate towards the moon, either on the new moon or full moon? There's a whole thing to this.
My mom was a kindergarten teacher. She's retired now, but she said on the full moon, her class would be Berserk.
Yeah, perfect word. Berserk. I love it. The moon has a frequency, and parasites have been shown to have reaction and activations during that time. And that maybe that's a time that they're there to express, to move around, whatever it is. There's a whole thing to that. And so in terms of behavioral, you know, your complete disregard for your metabolic safety on reaching for that double chocolate cookie at 11 p.m. could be a signal from a parasite. You never know, because they want sugar.
Yeah, and they want to destroy their host by definition, right? That's
they don't want to destroy.
Okay.
They want to take you to the brink, but they don't want you to die because they'll go with you. Yeah. Right. So they want to have you humming in that state and dysregulated state.
Because that's how they thrive.
That's how they thrive. I mean, there's a whole thing like, you know, you got to coax out the parasite to actually kill it. That's the whole thing. Like you put turpentine on a sugar cube, right? And the sugar brings them out and the turpentine comes as a solvent and waxes them out. And I definitely feel like the more overrun a human body is on parasites, it's in the brain, it's in the burrows. They like the myelin sheath. They like the soft tissue. You know, that's like gorging themselves with the perfect food. And it's like, this is epic.
Got a little geese audience.
And, you know, people are now correlating multiple sclerosis, MS, with, you know, doctors that have run samples post-mortem and seen that there is obvious signs of parasitic infections where these areas are. And so we have to figure this thing out. We got to be on top of it. And again, you can't come from a place of like freaking out and getting super scared. You got to just take it step by step and know that your body is meant to heal. We all have that potential. And that's why a lot of the things you asked me earlier about sunlight, proper sleep, grounding to the earth, whatever it is, those have to be in place. Because if those are not in place, forget about it.